So we're here with another one. It's really, really cool with Payton. I can't pronounce your last
You are so good, Atkinson.
name. It is Atkinson.
It is Atkinson.
Womp womp. That's actually really bad. One of my friends going through university, her last name is Atkinson. So
That's
I
a-okay.
feel really bad now. But Payton is, again, a creator here in the London area and a recent graduate from Western University, which is also cool. Get a little plug in there.
Yep.
Um, and you're moving into the comic space, I think
Yes.
is a good way to phrase it.
Yes.
And let's start there, actually. Or yeah, we'll start there, and then we'll do some this or that's and other fun things if we need to break the ice.
Sure.
Um, how did you move into the comic space? Because your degree was in.
Fine arts. Honor specialization in visual arts.
Ooh.
Yeah, fancy, fancy. Big long title.
So when you were in that, like I know that being in academia, comics are not thought of well. I
No.
think it was be the. So did you? Was this an after, or did you always sort of have an inkling? This is.
This was, if I have to put it like, I guess as clearly as I can, it's the most random thing that popped up. I've always been passionate about comics. I've made them when I was little. Was cleaning out my room the other day and found some comics from when I was like 8 or 9 under my bed, just four little like panel like whatever. Like I've always done this, and I created comics just for myself all the way through high school, all the way through university. But it always took like always kind of like sat in the back seat while I focused more on um, more fine arts related,
Mhm.
like I guess like styles of art. So painting and drawing and printmaking stuff that was more acceptable. But getting into comics, like I always say, it felt like the stars had to align. I wouldn't be sitting here right now doing the work that I'm doing now if it hadn't been for one interaction I had actually at Western. So I was in Trisha Johnson's printmaking class, third year printmaking class. And for our final assignment, she said, you can do whatever you want. You can do litho, you can do screen print. And I loved screen print, love screen print. So I made a screen print based on a comic I had made of myself back when I was in grade 9. Not to like get into like the deep Payton Atkinson lore, but I was going through my whole like little like teenage edgy phase, whatever, when I was like 13, 14. And I was like, you know what? I need a version of me who knows how to handle all of these really deep emotions that I'm going through. So I made a character called Secret Agent Payton, which was just me with sunglasses and like a mic piece. And I would make her go about in this like edgy city and she would do whatever. And she was like the cooler version of me that knew how to deal with all of these like emotional issues that I was going through at like 14. Um, and I wanted to redo her because I was like, you know what? I loved this character when I was like in my early teens. I'm graduating from university and I'm in a much better like place now. I know where all of my like what I want to do with my art. I'm gonna like revamp her. So for my final project for third year print, which I took in fourth year, um, I made Secret Agent Payton, but just like the modern version, like me now. She's wearing like a cat suit. She's got my flowing blonde hair, and she's so serious. And I made like I think I made it. I tried to make it as melodramatic as possible. So I think the speech bubbles say something along the lines of I can't remember the last time I saw the countryside. The city is as much a part of me as I am of it. I think that was the dialogue that I chose. And I showed it to my friend Luke, who I on and off actually work with now. And I was like, hey, I know you like comics. I made this inspired by like just like comics I used to do when I was little. I want you to take a look at it. And he's like, are you interested in making comics? And I was like, objectively, like, yeah, that'd be fun. He's like, come join All's Cherry, which is exactly who I work with now and have been working with like
Okay.
since April, May. Um, yeah, so like long story short, if I hadn't talked with Luke that one time,
Mhm.
I basically wouldn't be sitting here.
And it's interesting. Just about everybody I've talked to, and a lot of the interviews that I've been watching recently, we were just talking about Chris Claremont and Stan Lee.
Yeah.
It's that one moment.
Yep.
It's that one thing that sort of turns it on. And I wonder for a lot of people wanting to get into the industry, you almost have to be looking for that moment
Yes.
and say yes when it happens,
Yep.
because it's so easy to go,
Yep.
he's just being nice, or
Yep.
just. And okay, so what have you been doing? I guess.
Yeah. So right now, I would say my biggest project is, um, again, working with Alice Cherry. I'm doing a lot of color work for Eric Olsferries, whom you interviewed just like a week ago,
We
whatever
could
it
go.
was, a week
Yep.
ago. Yeah. Um,
Exactly. We could go.
I don't fully know how much I'm allowed to say or what he's comfortable with me sharing, but I'm doing a lot of color work for him. We have some upcoming um, books that he's planning to publish 2026. He's hoping to get, oh gosh, Eric works so hard. I think he's hoping to get like, I swear to God, like 20 books. He's not getting 20 books, but like some like
he
stupid
was
number.
he was talking about all
Yeah.
the upcoming projects
Oh
he had,
yeah.
and he did name drop you a couple of times.
Yes. Well, the same thing's going to happen here with me and him. But yeah, a lot of color work for Eric. And then I've been speaking with some others just in and around Canada, especially. Um, but yeah, a lot of color work right now, I guess.
Well, and I think when we talk about comics and stuff, we the focus tends to be on the artist,
Yep.
and the dramatic artist, and then the writers.
Yep.
But we were talking about it in the past couple of interviews that when you crack open a Marvel comic, there's 12, 13
Yes.
people, and I don't think when it comes to colors and stuff like that, I don't. And this isn't the only thing Payton does by a
No.
long shot,
Yes.
but I think it's a really interesting place to start, because I don't think we think about colors too terribly much, and when particularly in the indie scene, unless you're lucky enough to have somebody like you sitting around, you're doing all the colors yourself, and not everybody's really good at it.
Oh yeah. What? Everybody has their own strengths. You have to learn what your strengths are and play to them.
But it's quite amazing how much a good inker and good colorist dramatically change.
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. There we go, bringing Eric up again. But I have genuinely fallen in love with his inking. I've never seen anything like it. There's this looseness and this flow that he has to his work it's genuinely just astounding. I absolutely love looking at his stuff, and I like whether or not he watches this. I'm seeing you, Eric. Um, it's it's just it's such an honor and a privilege to be a part of what he's doing because I really do admire his stuff.
But then the question becomes how much of you goes into that coloring, how much choices, how much creativity does a colorist have? Because I'm going to be perfectly honest, I have no idea.
No, you're so good. At least I can speak towards my experience. Eric gives me good like free range with what I do. I update him as we go through. I send him flats, and then I go in with like shading and highlighting, general rendering later on. But before we get to that stage, it's usually I'll send him the flats. I'm like, okay, I know you well enough to know that you will dislike one or two things that I've done, and I need you to circle them in red pen, and I need you to show me where they are because there's always something. So I do get a good amount of free range. But I want to stay true to his vision right now because right now these are his stories, and maybe if I do some work in the future, which I do have plans to do, it's just again taking a back seat as I focus on this right now. Maybe I'll go and I'll bug him and be like, you need to change this now. But
Interesting.
yeah,
and that's sort of the joy of the particularly the sort of indie scene that we have around here and in Canada. We'll talk about that in a bit, but the collaborative aspect of it and how much you guys get to interact on that stuff.
Yes.
And Cherry certainly seems to be an interesting little house for that.
Oh, absolutely. I've never been in a place, I think, or like met people where I feel more like at home. Like it's just genuinely such a welcoming community, and everyone's like, I don't even think I could probably tell you how friendly everyone is and so inviting. It's wonderful.
And that's good, and it's quite a juxtaposition. We were talking in the last one about sort of the Marvel style, the DC style. You know, Marvel certainly had the bullpen, where everybody was sitting around doing this stuff, but I don't think it was a terribly friendly environment. They tried to an extent, but it was work.
Yes.
And I think those days are a little bit done,
Yes.
and things like what you're doing are becoming more and more the norm.
Hmm.
And as you move forward, well, I guess where to go from there? um, what sort of stuff? So you're doing the coloring.
Yep.
You've also done some inking, I think.
Yes, I
Yeah.
have.
Can you talk about the inking for a second? Because Eric talked about it a little bit, but he's unique.
Yes.
I don't think like if you're a hardcore comic nerd, you understand inking and what it does, but I don't think the average person
Yeah.
really understands the process of inking. Can you talk to us about that a little bit and what you do as an inker?
Um, as of right now, at least where I stand in the comic community, I would say I'm not known right now for my inks, but I plan to change that. Um, so right now I do a lot of like digital inking as well as traditional. I actually prefer traditional, but digital is often like easier, like it's more transportable. You don't need I'm not gonna like spill things all over the place. But as for what I do with inking, like, would you like to know like the process or like
Mm-hmm.
that? Yeah.
100%.
So
So forgive me. For
yeah.
a lot of people, even me, the initial thought was you're just tracing the lines so they look a little prettier on page,
Hmm.
but that's not.
I would say that is like you can summarize it as that, but for me, inking feels. I described it one time as sometimes it feels like your. This is especially true with traditional. Your pen, your brush, whatever, has a mind of its own. It is it's changed the way I approach a work of art to think of my pen, my brush, my pencil, my eraser as a tool rather than as a paintbrush, a pen, a tool. Like the same as you would look at a screwdriver. A screwdriver has a set purpose, but if you want to use it for something else, I guess you can. It might be a little bit difficult, but you can. While you look at your hammer is used for a few different things, but you can do a few different things with it. Like it's a tool the same as anything you would find in a garage. And it helps to listen to what that tool wants to do. I wouldn't use a hammer to fix my car, same as I wouldn't use a ruler if I wanted to get a nice kind of like beveled edge on the edge of a comic panel instead of using my ruler to get a nice perfect straight line because that might not fit what I want to do. So for me, this is especially true with inking. It really helps to listen to what your pen, your brush, your pencil is naturally capable of, and work with it. See it as a partner rather than something to be controlled. So this, I like all the way back when I first really started to do this. I didn't view it like this. I was like, this is the brush, this is the pen, and it's going to do what I want to do. No. Um, Now my inking style has become a lot more looser because I listen to what the brush wants, what the pen wants, and I work with what it's willing to do. And if I find, hey, this isn't working, there's probably a tool out there that's going to help me better than what I'm trying to make this tool do that's not what doesn't work for it.
Interesting. So, and again, coming from the layman, particularly on this aspect of it, I always felt that it was sort of a felt tip pen.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you do. That's all you need to use.
It's whatever you want, really. One of my favorite. Oh, I got some good. Okay, one of my favorite artists. I draw such massive inspiration from him. It is Mike Ruth. Love Mike Ruth. Oh my gosh, there was something he did. I think it was around Thanksgiving, so Canadian Thanksgiving. And oh my gosh, he had apparently the previous year he had taken a wishbone from his turkey, let it dry out on his desk, and then a year later he was like, I'm gonna draw with this. So he just dipped it in ink and made a whole entire piece, just like I think it was a sketch cover. I can't even remember what it was of because I'm so fixated on the wishbone that he used as his tool. Anything can be a tool. You just have to learn to work with it. Listen to what the tool wants you to do and work with it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I draw a lot of inspiration from my group, especially for inks.
And does that willingness to adjust to the tool, because this isn't something I've heard a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it come from your fine arts background, or is this a Payton thing?
Hmm. I I don't know. I would like to call it a Payton thing because I also haven't heard anybody kind of describe it, but that just feels like, guys, I'm so cool. Here's like this thing I invented. No, but I have, at least I haven't heard anybody else really describe it or talk about it like this.
And so I guess my question then becomes: so Mike's using a Mike,
Mike,
using a wishbone, but what? So what is your sort of standard arsenal?
I have it in my bag.
Ooh,
Can I?
can we see?
Yes, yes.
Can we see?
It is. Oh my lord. So this is my like my really really just like basic supplies. Oh,
You
get
can
my
show me all you
elastic
want.
off.
Nobody needs to see me. We're going to show off the tools.
So I would say my favorite tools right now would be this, this. I'm not even joking when I say I use Sharpies a lot. Like these four, I can do plenty of sketches with just these, and they look fine. So these come in a pack. Literally grab these from Michael's. These are Fudenasuke pens. They're calligraphy pens actually, but what's really
Okay.
good about that means your the tip of it is kind of like flexible, so you can get thin lines, you can get like thick lines, and it's really easy to go from thick to thin to thick to thin if you really really need to. Sharpie is great for like blocking in big areas, and then I usually use these for like just definition. Something I do within my own inking, which I like I can't pat my back again. Oh guys, I'm so cool. Here's my original idea, but I don't see a lot of people do it. I add little lines of movement within my art, usually around the edges of a piece. So if I am drawing the side of a face and I'm like, I want a little bit more movement there, usually the line will be thicker, like the side of the face will be thicker. I'll take my tiny little Sharpie pen here and go in and add just to go, and that's it. Then it brings a little bit more movement to an otherwise like static pose, static image.
Interesting. Okay. And so as somebody with horrible imposter syndrome, um, it's really hard. But if we look at all the people that we look up to,
Mhm.
they're all doing original stuff,
Yes.
and it's really easy for us to go, well, yeah, that's his stuff, and he did that, and he originated that. The easiest one for me to come off of my mind, you could tell that I'm a '90s kid. McFarlane's Spaghetti Wads.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, that was his thing, and we can accredit that. And but when it comes to our own thing, as you're
Mhm.
like, oh, no, I didn't do. Yeah, you are. You're finding your own style and doing your own thing. So please don't apologize for it. I feel like I'm talking to my first years.
No, you're so good. Actually, real quick, sorry.
Please don't go for it.
Just to add on to that point, talking about originality, this is something I think about a lot with um, like art. It's the concept of like copying or stealing or um, that stuff. Like, absolutely, for sure can happen. But I remember when I was little, not wanting to exactly directly copy artists because that's their work, and I didn't want to use references because I'm like, that's cheating. We look at the old masters, like we look at Leonardo, we look at like Michelangelo. Like those are huge inspirations for me when I was little. Like, and when I say little, I mean like little, like 6 or 7. I loved their work because again, my dad has his BFA, so he had all these art books. I was like, oh, so cool. But we look at like Leonardo and like Michelangelo, like all of our old masters, and we go, I'm never gonna be like them. But they got to where they are because they copied, they referenced. One of my favorite examples is Michelangelo went to live with the Medici family and would go into their gardens and sit with like and sketch statues that other people had already done. And we look at like Pablo Picasso and he draws inspiration. Some might say like just like flat out stealing, like from the inspiration he found like on the other side of the world. Um, so there's always a certain like you want to avoid, of course, copying and stealing, but at this point, like nothing's truly original. So I think it's about finding little bits and pieces of what you can make your own and not shying away from references and inspiration as
That's
well.
that's really important. Thank you. I think a lot of people really need to hear that. And I mean, in the comic industry, the mainstream comic industry, what 3 4 months ago there was a big sort of blow up about whether or not it's a homage or a stealing,
Yes.
particularly with that Spider-Man cover. And I can't
Yes.
remember the guys involved with it, but and I'm one of those people. I was looking at it going, that's a homage. He's not, but you know, we're also in an era where drama sells, so that's part of it. But no, like was talking with when I was talking with Jeff and stuff, and one of the questions I'm going to ask you at some point was who he was inspired by, who he and he was talking about Mike Mignola.
Okay. Yeah.
And he goes, like I'm not, like you don't really see it, but his use of positive and negative space
Yes.
certainly influenced him, and I think for a lot of people, like probably one of the best masters of that, and certainly in the modern era. But I have to laugh. You talked about the Michelangelo and the Leonardo art, the Da Vinci art. No. Um, I always joke. There's certain things I really want. I'd love if you had unlimited money, things you'd love to get. And one of the things I would always love, and certainly the home insurance wouldn't handle it, would be a piece of Da Vinci art.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's something he sketched on a napkin. And my wife was asking, "It's like, well, what if it's something you don't like?" And I'm like, "It can't.
It can't be.
You
Yeah.
know, like everything he did was perfect. It's frustrating. So, it's sort of the same. I'm trying to, and I'm curious, like because I think you collect as well.
Yes.
We were just talking about that. I wanted to get into, and I talked about it. Well, when we first met, I was talking about it. I want to get more into collecting original art, and particularly like the goal would always be to get like the panels,
Yes.
the
Yes.
sheets and stuff.
I know. Oh my god.
Even and the wonderful people here at Western and the archivist that I work with, she keeps sending me when original art comes up for auction and stuff. She's like, in case you have, and I'm like, sure. If I got the first thing she ever sent me was John Romita Sr.'s original sketches of Wolverine, and she's like, you might be interested. I'm like,
yeah, I'm interested.
Sold for like 110,000 US.
Wow.
I'm like, no.
Yeah. That's a house. That's a down. Yeah, no.
But we collect stuff like that, and my wife was like, well, what if you get something you don't like, or like, are you gonna buy stuff you like? I'm like, no. But also, like, it's Jack Kirby. It's just not gonna happen. I don't care if it's like some random Fantastic Four page. It's gonna be gorgeous.
Yeah.
And seeing the stuff that you guys do, and wandering through the conventions and stuff like that, and I recommend to anybody, when you go to conventions, take the moment to flip through artists' portfolios.
Yes.
Is that what we're gonna call them?
Yep, portfolios. Yeah.
And particularly when they have their original art, because it's cool to look at in the process and stuff like that. And so, I guess we'll lead quickly into that before we go into other things. What do you collect?
So, I right now I collect a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff because of course
We're
I
gonna
do.
get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff. I guess you could call it a collection because I keep adding to it. I keep buying, like, this is great. Support local. I keep buying a lot of like Canadian comics, especially from around this area, but also just like wherever else. And then like apart from like comics and Ninja Turtles, I oh jeez, I have a collection of those little flowery like 80s teacups. Those ones you can see them in thrift stores. My great grandmother, loved her so much. Her name was Barbara Lavery, Sarah Barbara Lavery. She had those teacups and loved her. And after she passed away, it became very important to me in a way to like, I don't know, like continue the legacy of just having all of these little teacups. And in the same vein, that's also why I, on occasion, have like will collect like those like fancy little Royal Dalton figurines. Again, like 70s, 80s, whatever, because they are important to me in remembering her. That's also so. It's a really weird fourth kind of main things that I collect because it's like Ninja Turtles and comics, and then teacups and little China figurines. Like we are kind of like on opposite ends.
No, but it's what makes us us. Like you can't, like I think if you were just solidly a comic book collector or an action figure collector, become very one dimensional.
Yep.
We all have the things, and the story that it's connected with your grandmother and stuff like that. Like that's what makes it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how much of stuff? Like, I'm curious though as to how much of that, because you look at the Royal Dalton stuff, and they
Yep.
have a very specific style and a very
Yes.
specific color palette. And
Yes.
does that bleed over into your work?
I would say certainly in some ways. I love the Royal Dalton figurines because they are very pretty. And a lot of it just comes from the dresses that they're wearing and the poses that they're in. Mm-hmm. That's like, I look at them and they're like, those are my two favorite things about them. Doesn't matter like what they look like. I'm like, that is a nice dress. I want that dress. I love it. So I would say it bleeds over, especially in terms of poses. He's not so much of an inspiration to me anymore, but objectively, like, coolest guy would be Alphonse Mucha or Mucha, however you want to pronounce it. He was a French artist, and he basically just it's a lot of like pinup work that he did, of just like a lot of advertisement, a lot of pinup work, of just like pretty girls in pretty poses, and they're just doing anything, nothing. Mm-hmm. They're just sitting there, and they just look nice. So I say that definitely bleeds over sometimes, but right now, maybe not for the work that I'm doing now, which is more. I don't know. I'm not really drawing pretty girls. I'm coloring Eric's work.
That's not true.
It's not true.
Yeah, you were just doing that April O'Neil stuff.
You know what?
And the Venus de Milo.
Venus de Milo. Oh yeah, no. Mona Lisa. Yes. You know what? You're so right. I lied to you. I did do that. Yeah, and certainly those poses, like I remember, like I'm speaking towards like the Mona Lisa sketch. I think that was like she has her hair up and she's like tying her hair. That would be, I would say that is, yeah, I would say that probably draws from Alphonse Mucha. Like you could see that, like it's a lot of like flowy positions. Like they all look like they're blowing in the wind. Like that's kind of like, so like she has her hands up. Like that would be very Mucha. Yeah. Cool. You know what? You're right. I still do draw inspiration from him. He didn't go anywhere. You're so right.
Well, I was just I do want to lead into that, and I think that I've been leaning into it, and please, anybody who's watching, follow everybody on Instagram and stuff like that, because it's fun watching you guys do stuff. But we do have those inspirations, so I guess we'll touch into it when it comes to. Okay, let's start with the fine arts, and you've already mentioned Da Vinci and Michelangelo. They don't count.
No.
Because they're sort of everybody. Like,
yeah,
they're the masters for a reason.
Yeah.
Who in the fine arts do you draw inspiration from? Or are inspired, like not necessarily inspiration from, though, are inspired by.
Inspired by?
Like you when you think of you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
I'll shut up.
No, you're so good. I'm not allowed to say the old masters. Dang it. Would you count Monet as an old master?
Good from afar.
Good from afar. Okay, I was like, so again, we're gonna talk about me growing up, like just like in like. I love my mother. She is not artsy, so I can't say an arts household because like my mom doesn't know what she's doing with the arts, but my dad does. Mm-hmm. And again, talking about all the books he had around, Monet was a big inspiration to me when I was little and still carries into some of the stuff now. Mm-hmm. Really jealous of the way he's really able to work with light. I want to do that one day. I will figure it out. Yeah, Monet was an inspiration to me when I was little. I find a lot of the time I'm more inspired by concepts of work, whether or not the work itself can visually be deemed successful. So inspiration to me a lot of the time would be coming from experiences or concepts or ideas. There is a very specific form of the arts that I'm really interested in, kind of goes hand in hand with performance art, although not all the time, and it's called relational aesthetics, which is basically the audience is the art. There is the idea that your art is not complete without an audience, and the viewing of your art is what makes it real. So relational aesthetics, a lot of the time, it's about a performance. Sometimes there is someone, like maybe they're up on stage, like, oh, really good example would be Yoko Ono's Cut Piece. Would you be familiar with Cut Piece? Yeah, so that would be an example of that's that's more performance art, but like you could also look at it and be like, that's relational aesthetics, because the whole piece, her whole work is defined by what the audience does. So I find that really, really interesting. And a lot of the time, art to me is about the experience and the memories you get from looking at a piece. So if the story behind a piece of art is really interesting, I will like that piece of art no matter what it is. Like I guess that would be it. So there might not be a specific like artist I draw inspiration from, but more so like the stories behind the piece. If that makes sense.
It does. It does, and interesting the connection with the art with the audience, because a
Yep.
lot of artists draw for themselves.
Mhm.
But I think the concept of there's nothing there without the audience is a really important one.
Mhm.
You know, I was about to say something really really bad, so we'll avoid that. But like if you're making comics and stuff like that, and it's only for you, and you don't care if it sells, that's great. But it's self-aggrandizement. Let's go that phrase. You know, a comic book without an audience is not a, or a piece of art without an audience is just self-congratulations.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that maybe some of the bigger names that I like to pick on could use that a little bit in the to realize that it's not just for you and it's not just about you. So that's a really interesting thing to take away from that. Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
But
I'm here to yap.
no, and what about so into the realms of comic books? Who are you drawing inspiration from, or who do you look up to? We'll start there.
Of course. Of course. So Nate, if you're watching this, I want you to watch my lips very carefully. Kevin Eastman. It's Kevin.
What's he calling them?
I did an interview a while back. Extremely nervous. I fused the names Eric Ulksferry and Kevin Eastman and said Eric Eastman and didn't realize until the interview was over and Nate messaged me and was like, you said Eric Eastman. So now that haunts me. So if he's watching this, Kevin.
We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be fun if you ever actually meet him.
Oh,
and he says,
yeah. Well, here's the. Oh my god. I'm in a group chat with. There's Nate, there's Emilio, there's like a whole bunch of people in there. Emilio is another one, and the day Nate messaged me and like, hey, you said Eric Eastman instead of Kevin Eastman. Emilio was in line to meet Kevin Eastman. It has already made its way back to him once, and then a few months down the line, Emilio sent a screenshot to the group chat with a reply from Kevin Eastman that says, no, I still don't know who Eric Eastman is. So one of these days, I'm going to meet Kevin. I'm going to be like, hey, man, do people keep asking you if you know an Eric Eastman? Whether or not he remembers? Yes, I do remember. Payton, how do you know this? Or no, Payton, I don't remember. I'm going to be like, well, it's me. I did it. I'm so sorry. So Kevin Eastman would be, not Eric, Kevin Eastman would be an inspiration. And then remember back when I was really, really like starting to get into this, I would say Isaac Escorza, who did a lot of work for The Last Ronin as well. So we're still in the realm of Ninja Turtles.
Yep. We're gonna have to pause for just 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I need you to turn your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We are completely sideways.
Oh no.
And they're still hearing you. Just.
How's that? Is that better? Yep. Fantastic.
Sorry. That was okay. So Last Ronin.
Yep, Last Ronin. my gosh, I love Last Round. It's so good. It's just so dark and gritty, and there are so many nice shadows, and I love all of the nice shadows. And then apart from Isaac Escorza, who I will meet one day and will antagonize, and will go look at my work. I've taken so much inspiration from you, and he'll be like, "Who are you? Please go away." I also really, really like Mike Ruth, of course, and Sean Daly. Again, we're still in the TMNT realm. Outside of TMNT, oh boy, it might just be TMNT right now. But of course, a lot of local artists, and talking about like who I am inspired by, going back to experiences, seeing my friends have fun with their work, and so excited to share their concepts. I think honestly motivates me to do as much work as looking at Mike Ruth scribble around with a wishbone. Honestly, I think it's like genuinely a half and half, seeing my friends do cool things and seeing what like professional artists are like out there doing in the world.
And I think that's one of the really important things that's been coming across in these sort of things is having people who not just inspire but challenge you and
Oh yeah,
to do better and
yes.
to pull more out of it, because I think it would be very easy to get comfortable in your own style and space.
Yes, there was a period, like not to get in again. We're not getting into like the deep Payton lore,
Why not?
but well, cause I don't, cause it's heavy. But like, not to get into like the deep Payton lore. Had a really really hard time in third year and fourth year. Um, and at that time, probably not the wisest decision, but it is what I did. I didn't have a job for. I'm continuously like working. Like I do comics, and then I work elsewhere as well. Third year and fourth year, a little bit of fourth year, mostly third year. I did custom illustrations. That was my job, and it was enough to like pay for my tuition, which is awesome. I made a good chunk of freaking money. Um, Doing like basically I designed people's D&D characters. It was an Etsy,
cool.
and they'd come to me and they'd be like, "Hey, this is like the class of my character. This is they're like the race of my character. They're a half elf bard, and they are personality traits and blah, blah, blah." And that's what I did for like all of third year, and a little bit of fourth year. And I really, really got stuck in that style. What's great is that I'm now great at drawing fantasy armor, but
Which is not easy.
But I learned because I had to learn. But um, I got stuck in a certain line work style and a certain coloring style, and it just felt natural and it felt comfortable because I wasn't in a great place in third year and fourth year, and it just stagnated. And objectively, the art looked fine. It looked great, but it was boring. And it was just there again. And there's no, to me, there's no interesting story behind it. It was a piece of art that I made, and then it was sent off, and I never looked at it again. And that is not, to me, that's not a happy thing.
Really?
No.
Why?
Again, going back to the experiences, people are so just like people, and seeing people's reactions and seeing how happy art can make them, not just my art but just art in general. Seeing how happy it makes them makes me happy, I guess. Sending a piece off and never seeing it again isn't like a good thing, but sometimes I feel like I can see the piece through the person when I talk to them again and I ask how they're doing, and they make sure to tell me. They're like, "Oh well, you know that drawing you did for me a while ago?" I'm like, "Yes, I do remember it." They're like, "I put it on my wall and it's right next to here." And then they go and they kind of describe their bedroom to me, and I'm like, "That's lovely." So it feels like the life of the piece is then fully completed because I get to see the person's reaction and I get to talk to them and blah, blah, blah. So sending just a commission off and never just like, this is like a one-off thing. Someone found me on Etsy, we did a transaction, I did a piece for them, and then we never talk again. Like that feels empty to me.
Interesting. That's really interesting, because one of the ways that I think is sort of the best way to help support your local artists is through commissions.
Yes.
But you, like, through Etsy and through web interactions, it feels hollow. Or
hollow might not be the right word.
No,
I would say
the one that came to mind. It's the
no,
best I got.
no,
right
no,
now.
no. You're so good. I think. What would be the best way to put this? Like, art to me is art and comics and whatever is it's so much about I don't know, like again, like collaboration and speaking with one another and hanging out and at least to me art is supposed to be a feel good thing. And because so much of what makes art to me is the people, if I never see the people again that I did that piece for, it feels like that piece is just gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Right.
what really is really nice about like the local kind of like indie comic scene is like chances are I'm going to remember your face if you pick something up for me. If we have a conversation, that's fantastic. I get to see you at a Comic Con. I'm like, oh, I love your cosplay, and you come over and we chat. And you tell me, oh, I made this, I made this. I'm like, that's so cool. How'd you make that? We go back and forth. They pick something up for me, and then we part ways. But we've had that special like interaction, and then in the future, I'll be like, I recognize your cosplay, and we'll chat again. It's to me that's as much of a piece of art as something drawn on with pen and paper.
So then, does it become a little bit scary the idea of moving bigger?
Maybe. I
Because
know you lose a lot of um, the interaction. At least to me, I prize so fully. Um, but we were talking earlier off camera just about like going with the flow and adapting and keeping your head up and looking for opportunities. And
yeah,
I trust myself well enough to adapt. And I think so long as you put your best foot forward and you're friendly with the people who visit you, say hi. Um, I think you can still keep that kind of human element, at least to me, that's so important in
yeah.
making art.
And I've seen with some of the big, like some of the big guys. One of the
Mm-hmm.
ones I'm following right now is Peach Momoko.
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely in love with her art. Um, and she remembers people that go to conventions and stuff like that. So I phrase it in "Are you afraid?" But I think that it depends on the person whether they're able to keep it up that way.
Yep.
But like people like her, I don't know how they do it. People like you, I don't know how you do it. To be perfectly honest, like between the convention schedule and the work and everything, like, do you sleep?
I would love to sleep more. I know plenty who sleep less than
Yep,
me.
yep. I one of my favorite artists I has been a continuous conversation of I don't know how he does it, and that's Alex Ross.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of his work
Mm-hmm.
and the sheer volume that
Mm-hmm.
he produces, I'm not entirely sure he's
No, no,
human.
no. Yeah.
So for you, but you're doing the same thing. Like that like I absolutely suggest, checking out your Instagram.
Thank you.
But you're always doing something. Now, how much of that is an inability to sit still versus
Well, I I have a consistent posting schedule at least for Instagram. I post every 3 days, and I found that's garnered me a decent amount of success. Um, it's very important to me to post consistently. And it sucks to say, but a lot of what art is nowadays and finding success within the art world is making sure you have an online presence because
Mhm.
so much of our world now is just online. If you have an online presence, you're guaranteed at least a little bit more success. So I find posting consistently and replying to comments and just I don't know, generally being friendly and responding to messages is pretty good. But I usually always have something in the works, specifically either just for myself or sometimes I make pieces just specifically for Instagram to have
Really?
something to post. Yes, not my favorite thing, and I don't like it because again we're talking about like art feeling hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not making it for anybody. I'm making it for an algorithm. But oh, I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's a small price to pay for finding
Yeah.
success maybe later down the line.
Yeah. Um. Oh, there's so many other things I was trying to figure out where to go.
No, you're so
Uh,
good.
I because I know you have limited time. You're the first person to have a time constraint. So
Sorry.
don't be. We all have lives, and I think that that's the other thing that a lot of us forget about is there is a life and there is other things to do. I am one of those notorious people that I will sit around and chat until 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, I have a 7 a.m. class, and this is not going to go well.
I mean, I'm
Never had a 7. 8:30.
8:30. Evil, evil 8:30 classes.
I have to be on campus at 9:30 every day for the next semester. I
That
am
is
decidedly unhappy about
gross.
this.
No.
um, but I want to get to it. So we've sort of we talked about how you got into the industry.
Hmm.
And I do want to talk to you about your thoughts about sort of the Canadian comic industry. But before we get into that, I think there's something really, really important. Um, one of the things I like about this is talking about how people can get into the industry, what they can expect and stuff.
Hmm.
You're unique in the out of the three people I've interviewed so far, and out of anybody who's coming up, in that you are a woman in this space.
Hmm.
And how there's so many ways to phrase this. I think I'll go with the basic one of
You're so
how do
good,
you
yeah.
feel about that?
um, I think the word I would choose is probably daunting. It feels daunting. Um, maybe scary. I think, but I know at very least the people I'm working with now see me for who I am and the work I can do and respect me just for me. And I, at least right now, I've got really strong foothold with where I am now. I also am really good at not shutting up and not taking no for an answer when I really, really want something. So I think, like, I can't look at it and be like, oh, I'm so set. I'm going to nail this. But I think I'll find success despite um, what else the comic industry might have planned.
Well, I'd love to say that it's changing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the weird part about it is there have always been women in the comic
Yes.
industry, even going back to the we were looking at the Weka collection just a little bit
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
and Anglo American, um, in their second year they expanded. So in their first year they went so in March of 1941 they had
Mm-hmm.
one publication.
Mm-hmm.
By November of 41 they had seven,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they were just grabbing it. Ed Furness said that if you could hold a pencil, they hired you. They were going around to every art school in the GTA, going, "Can you hold a pencil? Are you decent? Come work. Come work." And it was actually noted that they their artist pool was predominantly women.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of their redraws of the Fawcett stuff was uncredited.
Mm.
So we
That's
know
not
that there were.
surprising. Yeah.
I think it was part of the deal. It's really weird. It's one of those weird, but also a number of women went under pseudonyms.
Yes. Yeah. That wasn't uncommon. Yeah.
But so and then you move into the Silver Age. There's not a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few, but not a lot. And even now, there's the argument that there are more women.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still sort of the stalwarts like Gail Simone, and but when it comes to artists, not fantastic. But I think it is changing. I hope it is anyway. What do you think? I guess is where I'm going with that. It's because you know, well, sorry, forgive me. Give me
Oh,
2 seconds
no,
on
you're
this
so
one.
good. Go.
As much as you're happy in sort of the local indie scene and stuff like
Yeah.
that, if Marvel came knocking at your door, I doubt you'd say no. They throw money at
Yes.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like money. It's nice.
We do.
Food is a wonderful thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but then again, like it is still, while the individual guys might not be a problem, it's still very much a male driven,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
thing. So, what are your thoughts on that? And sort of the industry as a whole.
I'm going to kind of build off of something Sam Maggs said this past September at London Comic Con. She had a panel with a few other female comic creators. Blanking on the name, so sorry, but I remember Sam Maggs because what she said really stuck with me. She's like, it is changing, and it's really, really inspiring to hear that from someone who's way further up than I am. To hear her say, yes, we are working. She's like, there's still a long way to go, but there's more credited women in comics than there has been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
There's of course there's still a fight. And she's like, one of her examples that made me laugh while I was sitting in the audience. She's like, we've had more women drawing Batman now than we've ever had women drawing Batman before, and I just thought that was such a funny reference point. I was like, I can be a woman to draw Batman. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have absolutely no doubt of that. But it's an interesting space. Would you Do you have any thoughts for other women trying to get into the industry?
Um,
From your experience, what would you like to your younger self? What would you
I think
ignoring the university
yeah, I think just as like a general thing of advice, I feel so underqualified for this. Like, I think I would honestly just say don't back down.
part?
I would say don't back down, and for the love of Pete, get enough sleep. Oh my gosh. Um,
It is amazing how much people think they can sacrifice sleep and how much of a
yes,
detriment it is
yes.
to yourself.
I I make my worst art when I am tired. I did some sketches yesterday. And just like actually, yeah, I used this, I used this, I used this. These are the I don't know if we're still like camera on, but we
Both
used
cameras are on wherever
yeah,
one you want to go.
use these three. We were talking about them earlier. Um, First page of sketches was great, and then I felt myself getting tired. And I said I'll do another one, and I can. There was a visual difference in between. This one's better. This one's worse. And I was like, I'm going to do one more, and I flipped the page and drew. I was drawing the Ninja Turtle characters again. I drew 1987 Shredder, so like from
Oh.
the TV show. Terrible and horrible, but part of it is just like it's just down on paper, and I just thought sometimes I need to draw. I go, but there's like, yeah, get enough sleep
Mhm.
and don't back down.
Okay.
Genuinely.
Okay. So this is going to be a hard one, and you've come from the university experience, so you'll understand this. I might have to explain it at some point. There is an attitude that you are going to be mm, uh, negatively downtrodden, looked at inferior as an inferior as a woman
Mhm.
in the industry. Do you feel that that's true, and how much of it is true?
Starting from where I am now, I would say I haven't experienced too much, but I noticed that people talk to me differently. Um, it like I don't want to get into it because there is some stuff where I'm just like I don't know how appropriate it is to talk about, but people do treat you differently, and it's I for at least for me it's very 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 noticeable.
Really?
Um, yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
It's all about how much you're comfortable with, but I
yeah.
am very curious.
Um,
We can talk about it off camera if you want. That's fine.
no, you're so good. I'm trying to like organize my thoughts.
Yeah, no, this is out of left field. I do
No,
apologize.
you're so good. I would say maybe people talk gentler to me. Gentler might be a word. Not always, but that's a consistent thing that I've noticed. Um, but at least for me, I can't be anything else but
Mm.
loud and gregarious. So at least at first, it's very gentle, and then they go, oh God, we can't shut her up, and then maybe they change a little bit, but that's something I've noticed thus far. I think as I get more into it, we arrive in con season again because right now we're in winter, not a lot is happening. I think I might come back and have more stories and more things that I've noticed. But yeah, I guess in summary, people would talk. They talk a little bit gentler to me. Not everybody. And nobody in all is cherry. Nobody in all is cherry. I never feel that way there, but that's certainly
So is
something
it
I've
more
noticed.
from convention organizers, other people in the industry? I, as bad as it is to say, I would absolutely expect it from fans,
Mm-hmm.
like the average con goer.
Yes. Oh, yes. I find it largely from fans, and then I've seen it in a few of the comic creators that I've talked to at cons. Because a lot of the reason I go to cons now is it's like, one, it's to sell my stuff, and two, I'm like, I got a network.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed it in a few of the male creators that I've talked to. I'm not gonna like name drop them, but I've noticed that.
Interesting. Okay. It's a weird conversation. I think it's one that a lot of spaces, like Gail Simone has been talking about it for quite a
Yep.
while, but we sort of dance around it.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't talk like she's in a position where she gets to name drop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the average person doesn't sort of talk about it as much. And I think for women trying to get into the industry, it's something that needs to be talked about
Mm-hmm.
and sit around having and having Sam Meg sit around and have those conversations. But that's a panel.
Yep.
You don't get to, you as the new creator doesn't get to be up on that panel and
No.
ask them and have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So while that's great, stuff like this, but it's still that barrier, I guess, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to? I don't want to push too deep into that because it is such a weird one. I think it's one that's meant for. Is there anything else you want to sort of say on that before I can jump to another weird subject?
Another weird subject. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess reiterate one final time. Get enough sleep and don't back down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're not backing down. And okay, so I'll touch on that quickly because a lot of women that I know, when they don't back down, they're labeled bitchy or
mm-hmm.
problematic and whatever. Have you experienced that, or
not
what?
thus far?
What would your if somebody were to do that to you? What would your reaction be? I guess it all that's very situational. Never mind.
Good. Good.
Because it depends on who's going to say it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's one of your friends and they start saying that, you're gonna smack them. You're not advocating violence or anything like that. But whereas if it, like if an editor from Marvel or Image comes across that way, it's going to be a completely different situation.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a fan, just tell them to go away.
Yep.
So not to put words in your mouth or anything. I think from my end, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself.
Yep. And of course, if someone is telling you no, I think it helps. Like we were talking about egotistical comic artists earlier. I think it helps to step outside of your own bubble and also look at why they could be telling you no. Like I think um, the easiest conclusion is just like they don't like my work or they don't like me. But it helps to take a step back and go, okay, well, if I was in an editor's shoes or whatever, what are the reasons they would be saying no to me? And then if they're valid and they're just, then maybe it's something I can work on. So when I say don't back down, it doesn't mean don't change and stay exactly who you are and force your way in, but be adaptable and learn to, I don't know, learn to sort right from wrong and rude people from people who just want to help
mm-hmm.
and are saying no for proper reasons rather than they just like want to brush you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do want to switch gears just a little bit. I want to talk about turtles.
Okay.
You have been on a turtle kick for a little while now.
Yes.
I've been a huge Teenage Mutant Turtles fan for my whole life.
Good, as you should.
I remember this would be the age disparity. I went to see the original movies in the theater a couple of years ago.
Lucky duck.
It was the same London Comic Con that had Eastman. They also had a bunch of the cast.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Which was this was my first convention back into the comic book scene, and I was terribly unimpressed. Not that the guys at the London Comic Con aren't great things, stuff like that, but they had all these awesome side rooms.
Yeah.
And they chose to put the guy the turtle reunion thing and everything on the main floor in the main selling area.
Yes.
And you couldn't hear anything. So I'm
no,
not complain about that. Conventions are a very, very interesting thing. They're a great way to meet people.
Mm-hmm.
Convention organizers don't always make the best choices in life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are listening, I don't think you are, but whatever. Do better. But so what got you into the turtles?
So I guess we talked about this. Like we were talking about this a little bit earlier. It would have started with the '90s movies for me, and the 1987 show. I watched the show on and off whenever like episodes would pop up on YouTube, and I'd be like, click. So I'd always watch them on YouTube. And then the 1990s movies. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, but my dad has also always been an inspiration to me, and whatever my dad thought was cool, I thought was cool. So I like Star Wars because my dad liked it. I liked Indiana Jones because my dad was in it. If it has Harrison Ford, I like it. That's basically what it boils down to.
It's not a bad choice.
What?
That's not a bad choice.
Oh, I thought you said that's a bad choice, and I am going to walk out of this room. Okay.
Except for the new Captain America movie.
Yes, correct. But and then the Turtles is the non Harrison Ford outlier. My dad, I remember it, showed me those movies. I think I would have been maybe 7 or 8. Might have shown them to me earlier, but I remember watching them when I was 7 or 8, and him explaining to me, like, he's like, the heads, they move on their own, but there's a person in there. They're wearing like a suit, and I remember thinking that's like the coolest thing. And every time a movie would end, I would just be like, I'm gonna be the characters. I want to be the characters. And then when that movie ended, the first movie, first, the second, the third, I would always be like, I'm gonna try to do a backflip off the couch. Was never successful, but I did try every time we watched that movie. So I grew up on and off with the Turtles, and then we're gonna talk about me being an edgy little like 13, 14-year-old, like I'm just starting high school again. So Secret Agent Payton, from all the way at the beginning of this, she popped up at the exact same time that I started to re-watch the like 2012 series.
Okay.
I think it had, oh geez, was it still going? I think it ended 2017. Whatever. Anyways, so either way, it was either almost over or just over when I started getting like back into it after catching the occasional episode on TV or whatever was uploaded on YouTube. And that did not die out in me. I love Mikey. I love him. I love him because me at my core, I am like, at least my perception of myself, I am fun, I am bouncy, I am very loud, and I'm always wanting to do something. I've always got something going on. To me, I looked at Mikey, I'm like, that's me, especially 2012. I'm like, that's me.
Okay.
So I really, really like fell in love with TMNT a lot, honestly, a lot of because of Mikey. And then it petered out a little bit, and then it came back full force last summer of 2024, and it has been the most like intense, like I this is just in my DNA now. Like it will never leave me now.
Well, yeah. and I bring it up for two things. One, in a lot of the online conversations about comic books and stuff like that, it's almost frowned upon to have an absolute favorite. It's like, I'm a Spider-Man fan. There's no arguing this. It's my go-to. And you're like, oh god. The only ones that seem immune to it are the Batman stands, but everybody just rolls their eyes at them.
Yeah.
But everybody else is like, like I feel like, like, and for somebody like you to be there, it's like, no, I love the Turtles, and this is my thing. The other thing is they have been such a case study in popular culture, and what they've started out as,
yes.
and really a bellwether for the comic book industry as a whole. So I'm going to make the assumption that you know the history of the Turtles and what they originally started for. But for those who don't, they started off as a parody and a way for Eastman and Laird to send up the what they were perceiving. God, they didn't know what they were getting into. What they perceived in the early '80s as the overly edgy and overly dark, serious, and now we get to look back and go, you thought the late '70s, early '80s were dark and edgy? Give it a minute, guys. But that's what they thought, and that's what they did. And then, like, a lot of people don't put two and two together that they are directly related to Daredevil.
Yes.
And I just started rewatching the Daredevil Netflix show because I want to watch for it again.
Yeah.
I need to refresh myself. And I was so disappointed that he didn't ask for his pets. Like, we just put a great little throwaway in there. For those who don't know, we'll do it really. Do you tell it if you know it?
No, you go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea is that Matt Murdock, because in the original panels he was carrying something.
Yeah.
when he shoved the guy out of the way.
Yeah.
Eastman and Laird turned that into a thing of
Yeah.
turtles, and the thing that the canister that hit Matt in the face and gave him his powers was also the ooze that spilled on the
Yes.
turtles, and that Splinter. In the original Turtles, was Splinter a human, or was he a
He
rat?
was a pet rat that was kept by Yoshi.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, got mutated.
And other connections. Daredevil fights the hand. The Ninja
foot.
Turtles fight
Yeah.
the foot. Things like that. There's a lot of that going through it, and it was a send up of that. And like I don't think Eastman and Laird could have known, but within God, what 4 years of them publishing, would have been Frank Miller's run on Daredevil, which turned him into what they were parodying.
Yeah.
Parodying. That's a word. So I think that like the Ninja Turtles are a really interesting case study. It's fun being able to sort of nerd out and stuff like this, because they start off as like if you read those early, like the original Ninja Turtle, like this is violent.
It's
this
very
is,
violent. Yeah.
But so they came out in 84.
84.
Yeah, and then by 87,
the show,
they were turned into a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yes.
With one of the best introductions theme songs of all time.
I know.
But it is
so good.
But it's almost a complete 180. And I think that it's a wonderful conversation about sort of commercialization and at the same time, like, you know, you have Eastman and Laird, who I'm sure were very, very happy with the royalties.
I would expect so.
But it's a 180 from what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with this. Like I was too young for the original Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But I certainly was watching the Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
I would have been 7, 8 when it came out. That now you know how old I am. I'm old. It's fine. But once my uncle found out that I was watching that, he's like, "Okay, here you go." and my mom was just like, "What? No."
Did she take them away?
No, my mom was great for stuff like that. But it's the conversations about it. My parents were really great about not like I was reading Lord of the Rings when I was 7 and 8.
Really?
And having conversations. My parents didn't shy away from it,
That's
even
awesome.
though my teachers got me in trouble for it, which is
That's
horrible.
Yeah.
But my parents were like, read what you want. We'll just have conversations about it.
That's
obviously
awesome,
there were certain things outside of the appropriateness, but I remember being in junior high and finding a copy of A Clockwork Orange and reading it, which looking back on it was maybe not the most appropriate thing for a 13-year-old to read, but whatever. And having conversations with my uncle and my parents and other friends about how it switched from this, and I remember everybody loved Raph's size.
Yeah.
I still love him with the tonfa. I want him to have the tonfa. That just, but it was a lot more violent. So for somebody like you, however, who like you're 2 generations even removed from that, because not only do you have the original generation, then you have the Teenage Ninja Turtle cartoon.
Yeah.
Then you have the 90s movies.
Yes.
Then you have the 2003, you were telling me?
2003, yep.
The last 2D animation one.
Yeah.
And then you sort of, like, you were introduced to the older stuff, but you came in at that 2012 generation.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, how have you felt about the different iterations? And which is your favorite?
Okay. So, to me, like, I know Ninja Turtles started off as this, like, violent, like, they go after Shredder in the first issue, and they just, like, go ham. Like, it's so crazy. Like, at its core, in the beginning, it was this violent thing. But, like, when I grew up and I knew them, like, as a kid, and I know them now, I still look at them and I'm like, these are 4 brothers who are here to have a good time, eat pizza, and kick butt. Like, to me, it's always just been about cartoon violence. Like, in my brain, I'm like, I know they're capable of so much more, but I can see them holding back. It's for the kids. So, like, they've always been goofy. They've always been fun. But reading, like, the IDW comics, reading even just sometimes the stuff in the Saturday morning, like, cartoons, like, just, like, even the fun ones, I'm like, Oh. And then like the original Mirage stuff. Like to me, it feels like there's two very different sides of the Ninja Turtles, which is like kid friendly, having a really great time, cowabunga, and then the other is just like someone's going to die. Um, so it almost feels like there's two types of TMNT you can be a fan of, and I'm a fan of both. I grew up with one, and now am realizing like that there's a completely different side, and they feel like two very different things oftentimes.
How did you, spoilers for a book that's been out for a decade now? How did you feel with the last Ronin Revelation?
I just love the last Ronin. I just love
But
it.
you just said that he was your favorite character,
Oh no.
and that's a character switch.
Oh no. I know. It's to me, I this is gonna sound so crazy, but I love seeing my favorite characters hurt. Like I love it because like
Some of your Spider-Man
to
fan
me
look like telling you're a Spider-Man fan.
like to me, what makes a character a great character to me is to see them broken and come back for it. Come back from it. So like or see them broken and find happiness and continue to live in spite of what's happened to them. So him like seeing him suffer, at least just for me, felt like it just deepened the character. And it was such a 180 because Mikey's like, we're having a great time, we're eating pizza, we're having the best time of our lives, and then all of a sudden he's like, I've lost everything, and now I have a hood, so you can tell that I'm sad. Like to me, that just it just deepened his character all the more. Like I love the last run. I love the last run.
It's such a fun thing to talk about, and to me, it's a wonderful example of subverting expectations.
I
Because I
know.
remember for what the year leading up to the reveal, there was huge conversation in the online space about who it is, and everybody was settling on Raph because it made the most sense. And then
Mhm.
the reveal that it was Mikey was just heartbreaking.
What is crazy for this is crazy for me because I apparently I don't know, apparently no one else does this. If I plan to engage with a piece of media, I avoid it as much as I possibly can until I'm ready to see it. But this doesn't just go for like modern media. It's everything. Like I'm also a huge fan of Shakespeare. Love Shakespeare. I didn't know the ending of Macbeth until this past year because I was not. I hadn't had a chance to like fully sit down and read it to the extent that I wanted to read it. Until like I was ready, but like I didn't know how Macbeth ended and who died in order to until this year. And it was the same with The Last Ronin. So like I knew it was this iconic piece of TMNT media, but I wasn't ready to I wasn't ready to sit down and read it. So I didn't know who The Last Ronin was. I didn't know because I stayed as far away from it as I possibly could until I was ready to sit down. I sat down and I remember like getting to the end of like that first chapter, jaw dropped. But what was even better was that I picked that copy up in Barnes and Noble in New York City. So I read it at 10 p.m. in like a hotel room. Lights are off except one reading light. I'm sitting there. It's like I'm like flipping the page. I can't.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic. Nothing better than reading TMNT in New York City. Had a great time.
Okay, thank you for that because it's really hard to get across, particularly to academics. Because I'm trying to do comics as history, comics as culture, and
Yeah.
trying to get it through to academics. The impact that you just showed from just what 2 pages? How much of a you know like how much of a cultural impact that has? How much of a not just a personal impact because we know that stories impact us,
Yeah.
but how much that affects a large group of
Yes.
people.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's hilarious. One of the ways I can explain it is you get a bunch of non-comic book people together and a bunch of comic book people together, and the joy of Spider-Man is everybody knows Spider-Man. Everybody knows the thing. Um, my wife is not the biggest comic book person, but she's been subjected to it for long enough that she
Yes.
understands all of it.
Yes.
And there was I want to say recent, but it wasn't like late 20, late 2000s, early 2020, early 10s. Um, John Romita Jr. doing the art on Spider-Man, and Pete had just been helping out um, Doctor Strange with a bunch of strange stuff. And it was his birthday, and he almost missed his birthday, so Strange reminds him that he's got to go to his birthday party, and he hands him a box for later. And then he goes, has his birthday with Mary Jane, because they were still married and they hadn't done one more day yet.
Yeah.
And Aunt May, and they're cleaning up at the end, and Mary Jane's like, "Did you have a good day?" And he's looking at the box. She goes, "What's that?" He goes, "I'm just gonna go on the roof and check it out." And he opens up the box, and all there is a scroll inside that says, "You have 15 minutes. Use it wisely." And the bottom right-hand panel says, "Hiya, Pete." And he turns around, and it's Uncle Ben. And
isn't it like
the reaction on your face is everything, and every comic book fan has that.
Yep.
You know, or the death of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. When it's at the grave, and he says, and Ben comes out and says, you've earned the rest." Every comic book fan starts to mist up. And trying to explain to academics, and even the people in the art department or the films department, who are just like, it's just a comic book. It's
no,
like,
it's not.
no, it's not.
No, it's
not. This is impactful, and the reason I was let it into with the turtles with you is because I knew you were going to have the fun reactions, the geeking out, the giddiness.
Yeah.
You know, and God, like, people who now we can. Frank Miller was inspired by the Ninja Turtles. Alan Moore talks about them, which is one of the strangest things ever. One, Alan Moore talking is always strange. Like, it's never not an event when Alan Moore gets on camera. Brilliant man, but slightly different.
Okay, keeps things interesting.
As I was saying, I back in my youth, I was really into comics, and this is back when conventions were not what they are now. It was more intimate and personal, and I actually got to meet Alan Moore 3 times,
really?
3 separate occasions, and he was a different person every time. Like, you never know which Alan Moore you're getting. You know, it's friendly, gregarious, wants to talk comics. He's, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm just here for business. I hate the world. Everybody can go F off.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing. But Alan Moore, but he talked about reading Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. And I'm like, I want a picture of that. Like, Alan Moore weird, just sitting there with a copy of. And for me, in my head, it's not original. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures. It's the cartoon Archie comics.
Yeah.
But the comic books have, particularly, not even the mainstream, because Turtles were arguably the first successful indie comic.
Yes.
They argue whatever, but they are, it certainly is the success story.
Yes. Yeah.
And has influenced entire generations.
Yeah.
There's a generational divide between the two of us, but the Turtles are there as a great conversation to it. So thank you for that. It's always fun, and I get to now go, like, see, look, it matters to people.
Yeah.
One of the things I keep bringing up, I found it in some of the collection, late 80s, early 90s Alpha Flight. There's some letters in there from Justin Trudeau.
Really?
Yeah, he wrote in. So you have a future Prime Minister of Canada.
Wow.
Reading Marvel's version of Canada.
Wow.
Which is a really interesting thing to me, and a number of other people have written in.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk Ninja Turtles, one, because it's just fun. And something I wanted to geek out about, because initially when I saw your stuff, I called it Venus de Milo, but it's not. Can you educate me on that really quick?
Venus de Milo.
So Venus de Milo is the female live action turtle from the live action TV show.
Yeah.
But the character you were drawing isn't.
Correct. So Mona Lisa is the character. She appeared in one episode in the 1987 series. And I think I really like all of the female characters in Ninja Turtles, just because the show, like all the way back when, at least and still a lot of the time now, I feel like it's very like boy centric. But when I was little, I wanted to just like do boy things. So like seeing a girl, seeing April, seeing Mona Lisa, or whoever, just like in the show, I was like, that's me. That's I want to be friends with the Ninja Turtles, and Mona Lisa is being friends with the Ninja Turtles. So like she's important to me, even if she only got like a little bit of screen time. And then Venus came in, of course, and I feel like Venus is like, at least from what I understand, she's kind of like controversial, as is Jenica in the IDW comics. A lot of people don't like Jenica. I'm not sure. I like Jenica, but yeah, both of them I find are controversial.
I so I don't know about Jenica. I
That's
haven't read
okay.
the IDW stuff,
That's
but
okay.
I can talk about Venus de Milo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's controversial because she was really badly written. Like, not that the show was exactly fantastic; it was a cash grab.
Yes.
The fact that it exists in the same universe as the Power Rangers is also a fun little.
Isn't that so ridiculous?
A little too much for me.
Too many primary colors associated, like superheroes.
But then during the IDW era and Boom Studios, they did the crossover with the Ninja Turtles, and seeing Leo and everybody, and the Shredder as the Gold Ranger, and it made me happy on a few levels. I'm not gonna lie. But no, she was like, for a poorly written show, she was poorly written, and conversations I want to have, and they're a hard conversation, and not necessarily one I want to get into today. But we'll take it wherever it goes. Because you touched on it, representation is important,
very important.
But when it's shoehorned,
yes,
when it's not organic, when it's not done well, not only does it not serve the people that it's meant to serve as a representation thereof, it just turns everybody off.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Venus is one of those ones where it was just like, it was so obvious.
Yes.
For a number of things. One, Power Rangers had 5. Ninja Turtles had 4. 5. Like, no, it really felt that
5.
way. And it was like, and it's a girl.
Yes.
And she was always presented that way.
Yeah.
Not as a member of the team, not as a sister, not as anything like that. It was girl. Hey, girls.
Yeah.
Identify with
girl.
And it was painful.
Yes.
Just so poorly written. I don't know if you know other things I'm into. I do Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a kick out of Bandai is terrifying.
Okay.
Bandai, if it's an IP, they own it.
Mm-hmm.
One Piece, Dragon Ball, it's
Mm-hmm.
all. But Gundam is incredibly huge in Japan,
yes.
and Gunpla, the model kits, they had essentially hit market saturation for boys.
Mm-hmm.
If a boy was going to buy it, they're buying it. There's nowhere else to grow.
Yeah.
And I, like the meme of, hey, it's the boardroom. It's like, how do we improve on this? Da, 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 da. The guy at the end was like, what about girls?
Yeah.
And they did Gundam Seed, which is slightly controversial. But it was designed to get girls into it, and it worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now girls account for 40% of Gundam fans, which is fantastic. Yay. But they did it organic, like it wasn't forced. And watching that, and there was only a couple of them, and watching the Venus de Milo, like, and then seeing somebody do it right is such a thing, and like, I'm a huge proponent. Sorry, glitched out there for a second. Of representation in comic books.
Yeah.
Like that, but
it has to be done right. So, one of my favorite things, like when I say I love Mona Lisa, I say I love Venus, it's coming from a place where I have seen what other fans have done and what they have done with the characters. Because there is you're in a fandom, you're a fan of a show, there is always going to be something you dislike and something you want to change. And for artists, we have the ability to literally draw that out.
Sure.
So I cannot tell you how many fan designs I have seen of Venus, how many fan designs I've seen of Mona Lisa, where they go, it would be really interesting if we expanded upon this one line that was mentioned and we turned it into something new. And this is going to translate into how she develops from point ABC and arrives at XYZ. So when I say I'm a fan of Mona Lisa and I'm a fan of like Venus, um, it it really comes from what I see other people do. It comes from their anger towards what is canon and what they have transformed it into to make it their own and something they can truly identify with. So we go back to talking about how so much of what art is to me involves people and people's reactions and people's experiences. So I love Venus and I love Mona Lisa and I love like April's been there since day one, but I love April because of what people have done with them, despite of the obvious flaws that they were presented with.
Interesting. Interesting.
Because I wouldn't have I wouldn't have this love for TMNT without the community. Like I wouldn't have, of course, and I wouldn't
Well,
have.
no, you say of course, but there are a lot of toxic communities
Oh
out there.
yeah, absolutely.
My Hero Academia
Oh
being
my
the first one that comes to
gosh.
mind in all these
I was
conversations.
literally just gonna say that. That
It's nice that one community has decided it wants to present itself as the dumpster fire for everybody else.
there was. It's also like when I was a little kid, and probably online when I shouldn't have been online. My one of my favorite shows growing up was Steven Universe. Steven Universe had a notoriously terrible fandom. Now we've all kind of chilled out. We've all chilled out, but like, oh, I was like 12 online, and I'm like, I'm watching my life fall apart. It's a show that rocks. We're so good. It's okay. It's okay. Just calm down.
I think that could be the message for just about any fandom, really.
Yeah.
But in reality, like when you're passionate about something, we get into it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to take a step back and
Sometimes
go,
it's
is this
just
worth it?
it's usually not worth it. It's so calm down. Oh my god, calm down. It's okay.
The only one that I'll disagree with on that, where it is okay to roast them as much as humanly possible, are the Batman stands. And I have been I'm sorry. I have been in an online crusade against these guys for the past 6 months.
6 months.
Because I've only been back into comic books really for about a year and a half.
Gosh.
And once you start getting into the discourse, and we're fans, we love it. We love talking about, right up until the Batman guy shows up and says, "Well, with enough prep time," and you're like, "Shut up, please stop." And I know other fandoms have this and stuff like that, but so everybody always wants to do the crossovers.
Yep.
Who would win, Batman versus, or
Yeah.
Spider-Man versus, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus the Power Rangers.
Yep.
It's like, well, these guys have giant robots.
Yep. What do we think?
Guys, come on. But inevitably a Batman stan will show up and say, with enough prep time,
Yeah.
and you're just like, leave, go, and please feel free to roast these guys every chance you get. I'm not endorsing negative behavior towards anybody except for them. I'm gonna get flagged on this one 100%. The worst part is I actually really like Batman.
No,
I love him as a
objectively, he's
concept.
so cool. I love Batman. Yeah.
Well, he is and he isn't, and it's the worst thing that happens. Recently they had him survive re-entry, like the watchtower blew up,
yeah,
and he wakes up unconscious in space. He's not in a spacesuit, but apparently the bat suit, his regular wandering around bat suit, has an air thing and has enough insulation to not die in space. He then pilots a hunk of junk back into orbit and survives re-entry and literally walks away from it. You're like, then I'm like, the stands are never going to let this one. They're never going to let it go, and they don't. And if we're talking about writing and stuff like that, if we're going to harp on the writing, the worst thing for stuff like that is when you start to believe your own hype, and a lot of writers on characters, particularly Batman, we'll pick on Batman,
Yep.
started to believe their own hype, and it started with Tower of Babel, where
Mm-hmm.
the worst line ever written, well, one of the worst lines ever written. Now, there's been some pretty bad ones. Was when the Justice League said, "Well, what's your contingency if you go bad?" And he goes, "That's why I created the Justice League." You're a guy in pajamas. You're a rich guy in pajamas. You have two aliens that are, effectively gods. And you're like, "Well, it takes all of you." No.
Oh gosh.
So, and these are the fun conversations, and Ninja Turtles has suffered from some pretty bad writing over
Oh
time.
my gosh, I know.
So other than Ninja Turtles, what other comic fandoms are you? Where do you lie on that in comic books? Are you a superhero fan?
I'm not super into superheroes, but I have been making an effort to get into them because I know how important they are.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Made me happy right there. What are you reading then?
Right
What's
now,
catching your attention?
again, we're back on kind of like the Canadian stuff. Like I
Mhm.
really just want to I really want to know like what other Canadian artists are doing. Oh,
So this it's something that's popped up, and thank you for segueing into it. To me, it's really, really fascinating that Canada has an aversion to superheroes.
I know.
Like we really do.
Yes, we do.
You look going back to the Golden Age. You have 4 companies. Okay, educational projects don't count.
Yeah.
Though technically, Canada Jack, I would argue, as a superhero, he does superhuman things, but he gets 4 pages, out of the entire thing. So whatever. But out of the 3, there's maybe 12 superheroes, not counting the Fawcett bring up. So Captain Marvel family, Captain Marvel family, Spy Smasher, Bullet Man, and Bullet Woman. Oh, glorious golden age. Bullet Man is a scientist who developed a helmet that gave him superhuman powers, and it's shaped like a bullet. And he goes around and solves crime.
Isn't it just the funniest?
Yeah, but sometimes it's fun to go back to that, though.
He's got a cool hat.
Yeah.
He's got a cool hat.
And then his girlfriend gets suspicious. And he goes, "Well, honey, I made one for you too." That's the extent of it. Right? And then they go around and solve crime. And one of my favorite covers, I wish I had it to bring up to show. It's called Bullet Man and the Incredible Flying Corpse. It's one of the stories from the Golden Age. And literally some circus comes into town and they have a human cannonball act and somebody loads a corpse into it and it gets fired out and Bullet Man's like, "Huh, that's not normal."
I'm gonna start crying.
I love Goldberg stuff for some things. Like, that's the cover. That's the cover. Is Bullet Man and Bullet Woman flying around because that's what they do, and this corpse getting fired out of a cannon and going, "Huh, maybe we should investigate."
Oh my god, I'm crying. Oh my gosh. Holy.
Golden Age was fun for silliness.
Let's go back.
Well,
oh my
god. We can talk about it.
Oh, sorry.
But Canadian homegrown stuff, there was only a handful of them. And then we have I guess you'd call it the Canadian Silver Age with Captain Canuck, which, wonderful thing. I love Richard Cumley. He's a really, really nice guy. I think that some of the concepts introduced in both the original Captain Canuck and the new stuff is really interesting. Dear God, that name.
I know. Oh my gosh.
The Chapter House stuff, the Chapter House revival tried to make him serious, and they did a great job. And he's called Captain Canuck.
Like you could only get worse by calling him oh my gosh. I think you only get worse by calling him Beaver Maple Syrup Man. Like honestly.
Beaver Maple Syrup Man. I like that.
That's not actually all right. Calling it here. That is my TMNT Canadian. What does I say? Beaver Maple Syrup Man is to Captain Canuck what TMNT is to Daredevil. I'm calling it here. I'm calling it here.
You're gonna go home and draw something.
I will send you a picture.
Please. You know, and then you flash forward to the sort of the Chapter House revival and a few stuff there where they tried reviving some of the Golden Age heroes. They did Nelvana dirty. I love Nelvana the Northern Lights. The artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Forgive me, sorry. I've only been drinking some Monster to keep going. It's been a day. Adrian Diggle's art is outstanding. I forgot to show you. They bring her back, but at that time, Nelvana was also being used by Nelvana Studios, the animation company, and the guy who revived it didn't want any problems, even though Nelvana was like, "No, go for it. We love her. That's why we called it this." Instead, he called her Nanook of the North, which is an incredibly racist documentary, and it didn't go well. But there weren't a lot of Canadian superheroes, and I know that Scott Wojcik is doing some Canadian superhero stuff, but the Canadian industry, in and of itself, seems almost allergic
to superheroes. Yeah.
Why do you think that is, from your perspective?
I genuinely, if I'm being completely honest, I have no idea. I genuinely don't know. From like the most basic, like, just off the top of my head answer I can give you is just like, to me, superheroes are an American thing, and I feel like we haven't found our grounds as like Canadians yet. Maybe, we need our own thing. I don't know.
But we've been trying it for the last
80 years. I don't know. It just hasn't stuck.
And the weird part is, we celebrate the Canadian heroes from Marvel.
Yeah.
But none of them were created by Canadians.
No.
Wolverine was created by John Romita Jr., John Romita Sr., and somebody else. Alpha Flight was created by Chris Claremont. None of these guys are Canadian. Though Chris Claremont did spend time. Same with John Britt. But like, we latch onto them and say, yeah, you know, like there's this one, you know, Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool. It was like, like, no, he was created by Rob Liefeld. Like, let's not celebrate that. I'm gonna get in trouble on this at some point.
Sorry.
No. Like, it would be lovely. I'd love to chat with Rob Liefeld, but the first thing is gonna be like, why are you so mean to me? I'm like, well, because you're you. Like, honestly, you bring on yourself. You know, and I would love to see. I'm a superhero guy, and I understand this, and that's where I gravitate now. Academically, I have to be broad and I have to do things, but like, in my core, I collect superhero stuff. I collect superhero comics. I collect superhero comics. So it's interesting in talking with Jeff and talking with Eric. Eric, not so much a superhero guy.
No, he likes Batman though.
Yeah, we had conversations. But I, you know, like, unfortunately, while indie comics and non-superhero comics are great, they're not the vast majority of the industry. They're not what sells. And as much as people might balk at that, and I had a conversation with a gentleman from Carleton who was like, well, you know, like technically the highest selling comic book of all time was this art house graphic novel, and I'm like, yeah, but they sold it at $30 a pop, so the numbers are skewed here. You have to go, you know, I still think the number one selling comic of all time is either Spider-Man #1 or X-Men #1 from the '91. But I'd love to see you guys, or people who are interested, actually start to try and create. But I think you're 100% right. It has to be uniquely Canadian.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that.
And
you're the creator, so.
I mean, like, I can speak to. I would comfortably say I have 2 comics in the works, just myself. And we're sitting here talking about superheroes, and I'm sitting back and I'm like, they are kind of superhero adjacent. Sorry, they haven't made it. I've done some writing for them, but I haven't actually like done too much, because again, focusing on more stuff, just coloring stuff with all Cherry. But one has to do with like an assassin in the far future, and the other has to do with let's say a really overpowered robot that works at the DMV. Those are 2.
That actually, particularly the second one, sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm very excited to write that one.
Have
Very, very
you
excited.
um, have you read because so
If
this
you tell me to, I will absolutely go for it. Yep.
Rusty the Boy Robot
No, not yet.
from Dark Horse in the late 80s, early 90s. I want to say mid 90s.
I have not read that yet, but
The
it is
artwork's
on my list.
outstanding. I
That's
cannot remember
awesome.
the guy's name. He also did a series called Hard Boiled,
Okay.
which and his art is just and I will find it for you in a minute.
Please, yeah.
It is so outstandingly detailed that like it's painful. And unfortunately, it still just worked out. Um, the assassin one, and that does sound superhero adjacent. That's
Yep.
great. That's and I'm very very curious to hear. So when you're talking about creating your own thing,
Mm-hmm.
what what's your process? How do you do this? Because there's so many people out there that like, well, I want to make a comic book. All
Mm-hmm.
right, how? That's a great question. No idea.
It really, really depends on the person. Like, again, bringing Eric back up again, but this guy gets ideas out of nowhere and then has everything written down in less than a week. He, God, he texted me the other day and he's like, I have an idea. And then he texted me like 2 days later and he's like, I'm on storyboards. And I'm like, you have like 8 other things going on. What are you doing? And he just gets ideas and he goes. And I'm not like that. For me, I have to sit with it and it has to stew and it has to not be fast. I have been writing ever since I was little. My first, oh my god, my first, don't let me get sidetracked on this because
Mm.
oh god, I remember the first story I ever like wrote that I really remember going all the way through all the drawings, all of the it was a oh god, grade 2, so I've been like what, like 8, I think. It was a it was called Mario versus the Griffin because I loved Super Mario and I loved mythology. And
Mm.
that was the first story I ever wrote. And even that, it took me like days. Like I couldn't just
Couldn't
sit
just
and just had it. I had to plan it out. And I've always been like that. So like I've had like this like we refer to the assassin story
mm-hmm.
and the DMV robot story. DMV robot has existed since the summer, early
Okay.
summer, and I haven't done too much with it. One, of course, because I'm working on stuff, um, but also just like it needs to sit with me. I cannot write fast. So like my process is very like methodical, and it has to be slow. To me,
Okay. Yeah.
it feels like characters. It feels like a story. It feels like it already exists, and I have to find it. Like I'm not creating it. It is always felt like this to me. Um, I can't just say this character is going to be here because I want them to be here. It has to make sense.
Mm.
I can't just put them in because I want to make them there, or like I want them to have this personality trait, but I go, no, it conflicts with this. It doesn't feel right. It is the weirdest thing. But like it will literally oh geez, it will literally feel like a puzzle piece has slotted into place, or it will feel like something has clicked in my head. And I know that I have found that character or I have found that plot point. And I can't just make things up. And it's so frustrating. But I have found in the works that I have completed just on my own, it results for stuff that I'm proud of even years in the future. Like there are character designs like I wanted to do a comic when I was in elementary school and I poured over the designs of like the kind of like 4 or 5 central characters and I look at them now where like I have a degree under my belt. I spent like an entire year doing custom illustrations, designing people's characters. And I look at what I did in grade 7. I'm like, those are solid designs because I spent so much time on them. And I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely wouldn't change much. And it's always been like this for me. So my process overall is slow. But for the love of Pete, for anyone looking to write a story, it is so much better to be working with a pile of garbage that you have written down than staring at a blank document. because you can work with the garbage. You can't work with nothing.
Mm,
So get something down, even if it's the worst thing you've ever written.
because
You can always change it and improve it, and you can stare at it and be like, here are the issues, rather than just having it floating around your head in a cloud.
mm-hmm. Do you, well, like you have your sketchbooks and stuff with
Yep.
you. Do you ever find that you just like stop and have to get something down?
Yep.
And do you find that that manifests into something, or is it just a
Yeah.
I got it down, now it's out of my head and I can go on with my life?
Yes and no. Sometimes an idea will stew in my head and I won't like do anything with it because I know it because it's really prominent and I know I'm gonna come back to it. But some things like I have to get it down and then it like then it still won't leave me. For example, we talk about the DMV robot again.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Henry. I'm just like that's his name. His name is Henry. I'm gonna call him Henry. Um, Henry was I still have the first sketch I did of him in the summer. He like pink dollar store marker. I drew him and wrote the caption. He was like really angry. I wrote the caption something along the lines of like, "You forgot to file your taxes," and that is the first sketch I've ever done of him. I still have it, and since then he hasn't left my brain, and I'm still working on him and his story. Um, but I don't even know if that answers your question. I'm just going.
No, and that's good. Well, and I think that like for some people there is a definitive process,
Mhm.
and I think for other people it's I don't know if more organic is the right phrase, but I think it's a good one for this. That it comes how it comes,
Yep.
and something that you've mentioned. I think that particularly compared to Eric,
Mhm.
and I don't like comparing people because you're all your own individuals, but he has a very set method,
Yes, he does.
and you very much sort of I think the main takeaway, if anybody's going to have a main takeaway from this conversation, is adaptability and go with the flow.
Oh, absolutely. I would say, like we were talking about earlier, who I am at my core. I'm loud and I'm fun, but I would also say I'm adaptable because you have to be. You have to be.
But we both know there are multiple people in the arts who aren't.
Mm-hmm.
They are rigid in their methodology, rigid in their, and it has to be their way, and it has to go in a certain process, and it has to go through things. And if it doesn't go, they get upset.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of people see people like that, and they're like, oh well, they're successful, they have to be like that, and then get frustrated when it's an adaptability and an organic growth.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that so that's fine. um, yeah, I guess I'm actually going to say that because we're also hitting close to your time. I have my timer set.
No, you're so good. You're so good.
I think that this is a wonderful place to sort of hit pause.
Yeah.
And much like everybody else, but very much, I definitely want to keep talking with you and have you back and stuff. This is fantastic.
I've had such an awesome time.
I'm glad.
You can track it like how good of a time Payton is having, how many times she's hit the table. Like, and I keep doing this, so I've had a really good time.
I'm glad. And I want to keep having conversations about the Canadian superheroes. I really want to see what you're having. One of my goals in the new year, once we get more equipment here, is have a bunch of you guys in.
That would be sick. Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm going to hit stop here. And thank you guys for again, whatever.